I have been remiss here, Stugotz, the first hour of the show, not discussing the biggest story in sports over the weekend. And I'm not sure if the American women losing, to me, was as interesting a story as, oh my God, so that's the reaction to them losing? Those great champions, we're going to laugh at them at the end, and we're going to discuss whether Megan Rapinoe, like she called it dark comedy. To end your career that way is like such a stomach punch. For her to laugh and for you to think she doesn't care, for you to make the argument because you don't like her politics that she's laughing because she doesn't care, where the reason that team is as good as it is because of how much she cares.
If any team deserves a pass, deserves to be knocked out in the round of 16 and receive very little criticism, if any, it is that team. With Megan Rapinoe, I don't mind that she laughed, and I don't care. I'm just telling you, in that moment, you can't smile, you can't laugh.
But you can't do it. Okay, but this is what I would say to you, because you are nothing if not predictable on this front. And those are the Cooligans there. We'll get to them in a second. They're part of the Le Batard and Friends Network, Meadowlark Media, Christian Polanco, and Alexis Guerrero. They have a good time covering all this stuff. But just to circle back for a second, because it is a bit insulting to simply say that they deserve no criticism. No, their coach was kind of terrible and didn't trust young players, and they looked old and injured. You could criticize, and you could also criticize that they lost and they gave us, America, the expectations of winning. They can be a symbol for winning and have lost in a really terrible fashion that looked like they didn't care very much. Now, I know that they cared, but because they've been dominant and suddenly were kind of bad, it looked like they didn't care. It looked like they were going through the motions, or it's really hard to be a symbol for America in that kind of fighting for women, to make the entire sport so strong that now women in other countries are just as good as you are because of how you put this sport on the map in this country.
They played their best game of the tournament against Sweden, and it certainly looked like they cared after they realized there were no more games to be played. I mean, they cared. They were emotional. They were crying. They cared. Except Rapinoe. I don't know what she was doing.
You didn't watch any of this. Thank you, Billy.
I watched all of it.
Christian, let's start with you.
5 in the morning.
What are your thoughts, not on the game, but on the reaction? Break down the reaction to me, because I've been not surprised that they've been weaponized, but the glee, the anti-American glee of like, I don't like the politics of these people, so I'm happy that they lost.
People have been waiting 12 years to have this exact moment. They wanted them to lose in 2015. They wanted them to lose in 2019. And all the moment of that went viral when Megan Rapinoe said, when they asked her, hey, do you want to, if you win the World Cup, would you go to the White House? And she said, I ain't going to the fucking White House, right? That after that moment, she was a target, and people have been waiting so long. But it's difficult to criticize as much as you want when they keep winning. They've won the last 2 World Cups. They have earned plenty of respect. And you made an absolutely great point. They were so dominant and so successful that the other countries were simply like, yo, we got to step it up. And they have. And this is the World Cup where all the other teams are really, really good. And it was a bit of a smack in the face to the U.S. women's national team. The fact that, the level of competition is so high that this is the countries that they faced. This was the competition that they faced. And now that I knew this was going to happen whether they won or not. Before the World Cup started, I was like, look, the tweets are coming. People are going to be attacking blue hair Rapinoe and blah blah blah. And it happened exactly as as we all kind of expected. But it's not surprising at all, but it doesn't take away from the inspiration that the U.S. women's national team has brought to American soccer, to the country, and to a lot of people.
You know what, Chris? Thank you. He's rambling. You asked the question.
Did they choke or not?
Did they choke or not?
No.
No. This is the coach's fault, not their fault. And I could care less about the reaction. What do I care about? 99.9% of the people reacting to this have never seen a game of soccer, couldn't tell you any other player besides maybe Megan Rapinoe or Alex Morgan. They have no clue what the rules were. They have no clue that it was the coach's fault putting these people in in bad positions. It's a chef who got great ingredients and was way out of his depth and didn't know how to cook it. That's exactly what you saw.
Why are we blaming the coach? The coach didn't miss a PK. I mean,
No, you have to start there. If you watch the games and if you really focus on the sport, the coach just made poor decisions from the lineups, from the formations.
Pat Riley didn't shoot a 3-pointer either. Does he not get any credit?
But she kicked it to Mars. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Right.
It's ridiculous. You got to pick the order. You got to pick the order of how these players go up. And why would you substitute 2 minutes before, knowing that 2 minutes into a game they're about to go to the most pressure-filled penalty kicks of their entire career? It's stupid. And why would you bring 2 center backs and only play one of them and keep one on the bench the entire time?
And
why would you not play a dynamic midfielder? Yo, Ashley Sanchez going home with the cleanest cleats in the history of the sport, but she should have been out on the field. It's ridiculous from the beginning. He should have been fired before this game.
And we're not saying that the U.S. women's national team shouldn't be criticized, because we do that on our show all the time. It is simply that they shouldn't be criticized because they are activists. They shouldn't be criticized simply because they fought for equal pay. That's really all our comments right now are, oh, I'm glad they lost. Rapinoe's a cancer to this team. And it's like, bro, they wouldn't have won the last 2 World Cups without her. So it makes no sense to hear stuff like that.
It's such a perfect thing, though, for them to be, for 25 years, a symbol for blazing strength in sports, pioneering for little girls, a generation of little girls. For them to end up when they lose, it's an honor to have America divided and spitting at them as representatives for sports strength. And, man, let's be honest about this. The women have been so much better as activists all over sports than the men. So much 100%. Stronger. They started that. Like, and to have an anti-American sentiment, laugh with glee at them losing, honestly, in sports that they mattered like that, it's an honor. You've divided America because you're that much of a leader and you were that dominant that you made people pay attention to a champion in women's soccer when this country did not care about that 25 years ago. Like, they're the biggest badasses ever. Of course they should get equal pay. They've been better than the men for 20 goddamn years.
That's facts. In fact, they inspired an entire generation of girls. It just so happened those girls played for Sweden, Spain, England, France. I mean, we got bodied by girls that our team inspired. It's crazy.
Alex Morgan's washed.
Dominique's got fair criticism here. Dominique, let's go.
What are these ad libs that I'm hearing?
No, it's not an ad lib. Dominique has strong criticism. He's not wrong either.
I mean, you can't hold on to the past. Like, Alex Morgan in the center doesn't make sense when you got Trinity Rodman and Sophie Smith and Alyssa Thompson. And like, what are we doing? Finish.
I agree. Washed is to me a little aggressive, but I will say this. I think the fact that in the first two matches, we saw how Alex Morgan played, and for the coach to not say like, I see what she's giving me, let me try something different. That's on the coach. If your star player is not, giving you the results that you need, you make a change. And this is why it's so odd to me that when the U.S. men's national team were playing in 2022 in the Men's World Cup, Berhalter, you guys did a show talking about how Berhalter made all these crazy decisions and why didn't Gio Reyna play, and then all the drama with the family. And then when the U.S. women's national team play, it's these women don't have the heart and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, what about the coach? He has some say too.
Also, Dominique, you were a cornerback. How good is a wide receiver if they're not getting good passes? Which of our forwards did really well? No one. We scored against Vietnam, and then we was trash after that because we were getting no service. Without Rose Lavelle or a dynamic midfielder, we were getting nothing.
All wide receivers are terrible when I'm covering them.
There you go. See? All right, there you go.
But a lot of people, let's break this down with some expertise, though, because there is a fine line between a coach trusting champions who have done it before because you ride with them until the end because you know how strong those women are, that Rapinoe doesn't deserve to go out like that. You know what she's carried for 20 years across America. Like, she's an unbelievable badass, and she knew the internet was falling on her blue hair as soon as she missed that kick. Oh, look, this is how my career ends. My career as activist is I blew the World Cup. But you got to trust You got to trust the women who brought you there. Even if you want change of young people, the women who have the experience of it, we are the only ones who have women who can play in those games, who have experience winning those games.
But they're saying they're only trusting her with the PK. They're not playing her the rest of the game. They don't trust her with the rest of the game just when it comes to a PK.
Well, look, I agree with that. Look, Megan Rapinoe and even her substitution into the game, it was I could see going in a different direction. Megan Rapinoe, yes, even when she's playing in NWSL, she's not playing these full 90 minutes. So we understand that, I could understand if a coach made the decision of like, look, this is where you are in your career and this is how we're going to use you. As far as the penalty kick, that's just how it is. They're the cruelest part of sports where you don't know what's going to happen. But Vlatko Andonovski, the head coach for the U.S. Women's National Team, had every opportunity to make substitutions in the group stage matches where only made one substitution in one game. Takes way too long to make substitutions. This is why Alex Morgan, I trust, one of our better players. Yes, she should start the game, but maybe at the 60th minute, we try something else if something isn't working. Not at the 85th minute, which is common from Vlatko. Just substitutions just weren't happening. So those are the really analytical, very specific things that are frustrating. But this is a coach that I don't think will be with the U.S. Women's National Team much longer.
Transitions are hard.
Fired.
Stay there, gentlemen. We will come back in just a second because I want to get more expertise about this. This is the story of the sports weekend. And Stugotz, I have been surprised, no matter what your politics are, an anti-American sentiment making an appearance because a sports team lost, a sports team that you didn't care about and were only watching just to see it lose. It felt deeply un-American. Can't be too surprised by it, but it felt wrong to have glee about that. We'll come back with more next.